Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Appreciate the wonderful kudos over the weekend from a lot of my community members here. Thank you very much for the support. Love to hear it. Absolutely appreciate that. Glad it's working well for you too. And I gotta say that Solana is an interesting situation right now. We're essentially range bound in this like 163 as a close approximate, as low as 157. So these are some previous support ranges that we've discussed here that are important to kind of, pay attention to and recognize. So if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. We like to start off with the liquidation levels and kind of see, what that looks like here as far as the backend data, right? Because a lot of times liquidation levels are very important things, telling us kind of where the price action may gravitate towards, since, whales love to just destroy a lot of longs or shorts that are high leverage in certain areas. Exactly why you want to use low leverage, low position size. You stay off the radar, simply put. But generally speaking, that's the consensus. So looking here, this is the last month. We can see roughly $177 is still that level, upwards of about 185. So more propensity for the price to go higher than lower based on liquidation alone. Do you take a trade like that or based on that reason? No, not at all. And that is just, again, the last 1 month. The last 7 days will change the story here a little bit. Again, we can see that 176 to 177 range. We zoom in a tiny bit here, we can kind of see there's a decent amount of liquidation at 164. That was a previous support range, if you don't recall correctly, or sorry, if you do recall. I definitely do, because that's really close to one of our average entries here for a long position. It's actually our break-even point. So we're technically in the red with our Solana trade, but generally speaking, that's where we could consider closing to break even, or possibly consider adjusting our stop loss higher as the profit continues to grow if we sweep that level and continue upwards. What I'm proposing here is that the likelihood of the price going higher than lower right now seems greater, just again, depending on the overall sense. Now, I just looked at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is looking, I wouldn't say strong, it's not the right word for it, but we're still honoring a lot of ascending trend lines, still looking mostly bullish on Bitcoin. I know it seems kind of weird, 4% correction, the entire altcoin market goes down 10 to 20%. And we're still bullish on Bitcoin. What the hell's wrong with you, right? Trust me on this. It's looking good, but we still got to recognize there's still potential for an ABC pattern to the downside. We're looking for a B right now. We could very well see a lower low, essentially rejecting off that 70,000 mark. I know this isn't a Bitcoin analysis, but folks, you got to recognize that we're kind of right on the edge of either awesomeness or terribleness, if that's even the right word. Again, it's a different situation, but all depends on this crux here. If Bitcoin can close over about 69,800, that's what we're looking for here. If that happens, I think Solana will absolutely sweep that 165 and higher range. Okay. All right. And if you haven't watched my videos before, or just in general you're not familiar with Bitcoin analysis, you may want to tune into that, because that's literally the fundamental catalyst on almost every single altcoin. Okay. So it controls everything. It's such a ridiculous situation, but it will always be that way, just because there's Bitcoin pairings for every single altcoin. And people often wonder why that is the case, but hey, until that discontinues, we're going to see Bitcoin control most altcoins. Having said that, Solana is looking pretty strong here on the daily. We can see this nice doji candle. This is kind of somewhat of a dragonfly doji candle. So if we do close at the current level or higher, 162 roughly-ish or greater, then there's a solid chance we'll see a trend reversal here. Again, the reason why that is a thing is because we can see in this entire 24-hour period, the price action has come down to test the lows and retest the highs, and it's looking more likely to break through that resistance range because you keep retesting it. And again, it shows bulls are controlling this 24-hour period. We're going to look at our POC, and we're going to be able to kind of verify that in the hourly. For right now, let's just quickly focus on the daily time frame. We're under 50 on the RSI, generally unfavorable. All the more reason why we should expect one more leg down just to be safe. When I analyzed this here on Saturday, I talked about the possibilities of the upper 140 range. That's a possibility because, simply put, we could see the price action sweep that lower level liquidity. I didn't look at this here today, but there's a lot of liquidation down on larger time frames at this lower 148 mark. Either way, I don't think that's a distinct possibility, but you just got to be mindful that anything can happen in this market, and it's just kind of crazy. Having said that, stochastic is swinging up here. This is a very positive sign. Last time we saw stochastic swing to the upside, we saw something along these lines. Okay. Now, it's not a perfect situation, but it does seem like we could very well see at the very least 165 and the price pull back. If 165 is swept, that'll put us to that 0.618 fib level, and we could be, performing a quick little downtrend here, right? It could be something along these lines. Just as a rough estimate. Anyways, I have my previous Elliott wave on here. Keep in mind that's a possibility too. Roughly the same scenario here. We just kind of adjust this over depending on how high the price action goes today. We'll pay attention to that. I don't want you to attach yourselves to the idea that price is going to drop. I think it's more likely to increase between now and whenever that is, okay? But you got to recognize that anything can happen in this market, and it's insane. So there's that. All right, take a look here at the 4-hour time frame. What we want to look at is stochastic RSI swinging up, getting rejected at 50 on the RSI, and of course, money flow index increasing. MFI is always going to increase on Mondays because Saturday, Sundays are low volume. We can see here, of course, MACDs converging. These are mostly bullish signs. However, if we look at the simple moving averages, we can kind of see here that we're below 3 out of 4. Okay, so again, while there's some indications that the price action wants to recover and continue higher, there's no confirmation that we are safe to take a long position. There's no other way around it. So if you are in a long position, maybe consider securing profit. It does look like we're kind of testing this upper range. It is more likely to break to the upside considering we have some momentum and of course that doji candle on a daily looking like it wants to close, but we're still hours away from that. Okay, so again, really just depends here. If we get a closure today, I would say above this resistance range here. I'm just going to extend it a little bit. 162.50. Closure at 162.50 today or higher, I think would be a good confirming factor. Let's quickly double check the Ichimoku cloud. That would also confirm this here too. If you take a look at this, we can see closing right at that level would be very, very important, okay? Because again, we got this fib level here at about 161.50 and this resistance range here. So a lot of times you will see price action work itself into a type of wedge, if you will, or a flag in this case. Sorry, that's not a flag, that's a pennant. And then continue higher. Now, my community knows that smaller time frame patterns are less likely to evolve, right? So I'm not trying to propose that's going to happen, but the key takeaway here is that being above the cloud at closure here today, I think is extremely important. 161 or higher is what we're looking for, preferably 160, 150. Now the lagging span will not be free and clear at that point if it stays there, right? Conversion lines above the baseline, there's a lot of conflicting information here, folks. So again, when you see a lot of oh, this is bullish, this is bearish, this is bullish, when you see those things happening, it's usually best to steer clear of it, okay? Now I know you're probably a Solana addict in the first place, that's why you're watching this, so I totally get it. Make sure you adjust your stop losses higher as you secure profit. I guess that's a key takeaway. You're going to consider shorting, short with caution, because again, I told this to my community, I think on Saturdays, I was considering closing my position or long, and then possibly opening a short. Now that has since changed, of course, just based on the dynamic of how things are moving here so far today and how Bitcoin looks. But on the same accord, shorting Solana is generally an unfavorable idea, just mainly because it does tend to 2x Bitcoin in most cases. Right now it's only 1x of Bitcoin, so it's pretty much following it fairly synonymous and actually a little weaker. Okay, so I would just be very careful and wait for some confirmation. And again, this is going to be a fundamental week, folks. We got we got some things coming up here. I'll share that with you a little bit later. I'll send out a YouTube or TikTok short, just kind of giving you a heads up on those things. Those are available all down below. Same thing here as well. I provide as much fundamental news updates as possible, but generally speaking here from a technical standpoint, we want to wait for the price action to do something like this. This is what we're looking for here. If we get a solid closure at 162.5, I think we should send it to 165. That's roughly what we're looking at. Again, this upper level liquidation to get swept would make sense. But between now and then, you just got to be careful because the whales are tricky and they know what everyone's thinking, and they can somehow just manipulate the market. Very, very consistent. So hope you can learn something here today, or if you did, comment below if you get a chance, like, subscribe, follow. I'll send out my playout chart here shortly. Of course, so you can kind of watch that. Those are available on my Telegram and Telegram and Twitter, or X, and you can kind of see what my thoughts are there, okay? All right, thanks again so much for your support. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have yourself a great rest of the day. We'll see you again. Take care.